What's up, everybody? I am back with a new spoiler review of the animated film Anastasia. I don't think it's talked about as much as it should be talked about because it's a great Disney film with a legit Disney princess from historical records. Of course, they only utilize certain actual historical accuracies for the film, but by and large, it's the historical events are just used as a backdrop where they kind of play fast and loose. I won't say fast and loose, but they took some liberties with everything else. Um, but before I continue, please like this video, leave a comment below, let me know when the last time you saw Anastasia, and follow me on my YouTube channel and my Twitch as I stream video games, react to videos, as well as review videos. Anyway, this was dual directed by Don Bluth and Gary Goldman, not to be confused with Gary Oldman. This was Anastasia was voiced by the great Meg Ryan, but we got Liz Calloway who provides the singing voice. Kristen Dunst provides the speaking young voice of Anastasia, and Lacey Chabert provides the singing young voice for Anastasia. John Cusack voices Dimitri, a young con man. Jonathan Dukuchevitz or Chetz provides the singing voice. Glenn Walker Harris Jr. provides the young voice of Dimitri, who I actually thought for a minute that this was Chris Pine for some doggone reason. Honestly, they do Chris Pine and John Cusack do kind of have similar vocal dialects. Honestly, because if you put like Dimitri talking next to Spider-Man 2099 from the Spider-Verse talking, it kind of sounds similar. Sorry, something in my eye. Kelsey Grammer voices, I'm not saying that long ass freaking name, this is Vlad, okay? A former nobleman. Christopher Lloyd voices Gregory Rasputin. Jim Cummings provides the singing voice of Rasputin. Hank Azaria voices Bartok, the Bat. Bernadette Peters voices Sophie. Not doing any of that. Maria's first cousin, Lady in Waiting. Andrea Martin as Comrade Filogenkov, the orphanage inconsiderate owner. Jesus. Where is she? Angela Lansbury. Here we go. We got Angela Lansbury as Maria Fyodorovna, the Dowager Empress, mother of Nicholas II, and Anya's grandmother. So, like I said, this is like during like the beginning of this film is kind of like the backdrop of the Russian Revolution before eventually, years down the line, Russia kind of squashed the whole imperial royal monarchy and enter in like the what we know now as the Soviet Union. And Not too dissimilar to the Sleeping Beauty aspect of it. Just have Rasputin, who was exiled after found out being a traitor to the Tsar of Russia, uh, decides to curse the family. He ended up selling his soul and putting his soul in this vial called the using this mystical unholy vial called the uh, reliquary or reliquary that he must keep in constant protection of. Uh, so his goal is to annihilate the entire uh, family Anastasia is a part of. Now, that's not too dissimilar to how things were with the real life family, where they were completely assassinated via gunshots. Real Anastasia died at 17. You know, around the 90s is when their remains were found and studied and confirmed by like the mid 2000s. This is a shame because you would think like you know, I was trying to see like is any part of the royalty lineage still around. Turns out no. They all their bloodline was nipped like that. Sad. It's very sad and tragic. But while the revolution was happening, the grandmother taking Anastasia, who's trying to find her little music box that was given to her by her grandmother. This little boy, Dmitri, helped the two escape through this secret passageway in one of the rooms. He ends up getting knocked out by one of the guards, while the grandmother and Anastasia trying to make their escape along this icy lake. Rasputin pops up, tries to kill them, but he ends up falling through the ice and drowning, which is pretty quick in terms of like a villain death. But this part is kind of stupid in my opinion. But they try to make their way on a train to escape Russia to head towards Paris. But Maria gets on. Don't know why she didn't make sure the child gets on first, because the child's safety would be protocol. But the kid couldn't make it on. She ends up falling and hitting her head, causes her to gain amnesia. So she ends up being raised for 10 years inside an orphanage, going by Anya. Now that she kind of clearly aged out, she decides to make her way to Paris. Along the way, meeting up with this stray dog that she took in. She named Polka, because it's Russia. Get it? Sorry. God, something in my freaking eye. So, along the way, they end up, we see like Dmitri and Vlad, who are con artists now, and decides to basically hold auditions because Maria, who's now this what do you call it? What was it? Dogomir? What was that title she has? Dowager Empress, who's a Dowager Empress, and so far beyond, from aside from the cousin, is the sole survivor of this prestigious family, who is sending word out like there's a reward for the recovery of her long lost daughter, heir to this empire. But all she's been saying is just mostly like just people claiming to be uh, the granddaughter. Well, of course, thankfully, the writers are smart enough to make sure, like, hey, the family will obviously ask certain questions. Only the daughter would know. But Vlad and Dmitri decide, like, okay, we can make sure that we find a girl, make sure that she's quizzed and study all these little idiosyncrasies. I don't know. Don't know why I'm fumbling over my freaking words, because I know how to say idiosyncrasy. There you go. So, to try to make sure that she, like this girl they choose passes. They end up meeting Anastasia, who ends up breaking into their like abandoned palace that they are staying in, where they see like this giant oil painting of a young Anastasia who clearly matches, because only reason they meet up with her because she's trying to make her way to Paris, but she needs like an exit pass, but she has to get like an illegal one. So old lady suggests meeting Dmitri, who provides like false credentials in order to get on board transportation to make their way out of the country into another. So Dmitri and Vlad decides to strike up a deal. She wants to go to Paris to try to find her family, and they need to like pass her off as Anastasia so they can get claim so they can claim a reward. But as she makes a when she's entering Russia, the vial that Backtrack has been keeping secure starts activating, and he gets sucked into limbo, where he meets up with Rasputin, who's been staying in limbo this whole entire time because his soul could not be claimed officially, because as part of the deal the entire bloodline has to be annihilated, but Anastasia's still around. Don't know why that didn't extend to the grandmother and the cousin, though, because that's weird, because they're part of the bloodline. Maybe is just referring to like the offspring primarily and the parents. I don't know. So neither living or dead, but he's definitely like his body is just like falling apart. Hopefully I mentioned that he's voiced by Christopher Lloyd. Which great performance from Christopher Lloyd, because he always put in a great performance. However, in my opinion, this is a very crappy villain, and he's based on a literal historical figure who has been known to be kind of like an ass, like definitely a traitor, or would be. Well, they got it right. Well, they kind of played to the whole notion that this guy was a degree of a supposed what do you call those some kind of Russian mystic and faith healer. So they played that up a little bit, but from my understanding, this guy was like definitely got a villainous like tone to him. He's definitely was not a good man, and they in this movie they played him like not a goof, but I don't know. It's like Scar light. He could have been like another Scar type of villain, but no, it's just like not very menacing, at all. Kind of like just like a he's just a ghoul. His body's falling apart all over the place. It's not really someone I will ever take seriously or even be scared of as a kid. Scar and Maleficent and Ursula, Jafar, as kids, you were legit kind of scared of them. They can still be charming at the same time, but you would not want to be in the same room with these people. Rasputin, you will laugh at him. He's kind of a joke. So it's like that is probably like my biggest downside of this film is that the main villain is just not very frightening, not scary, and he has a bit of charm. That's mostly Christopher Lloyd being Christopher Lloyd. Is I don't know. In terms of Christopher Lloyd performances, this character ranks super low, like super low, because this is like not an appealing character at all. But he is gung ho about wiping out that line. Uh, so he sends minions to attack the train that these people are on. Uh, when uh, he fails to try to get Anya to sleepwalk off the train and fall into the ocean or lake to drown herself, he sends his little green bat ghoul spirits to sabotage the train and cause it to crash. Luckily, with them working together, they managed to get off the train and survive. Then now he freaking decides to like, okay, I'll do this myself, and it's like, if you can make your way to the earthly plane, why even bother sending your minions out? And why would you remain here? The first moment that you know that Backdrop made it there, and then you can easily make your way out since the vial is activated, why wouldn't that be your first thing you want to do? Is like, okay, let me just, since you carved a pathway out for me, Backtrack, I gotta get out of here. That's the first thing I want to do. Then I want to deal with Anastasia. It's weird. That was like a weird way of going about it. But eventually they make their way to Paris, meeting the cousin, and because the grandmother gotten so sick and tired of all these little imposters, she doesn't want to see anybody, and just decides to put it to rest that Anastasia might not have survived. So the cousin organizes a meetup at this play, the Russian play of Cinderella, which is kind of ironic. But after the cousin's trying to quiz Anastasia about certain things that only Anastasia would know, she drops this info about how a kid saved her and pushed her in like a secret compartment room, which obviously was Dimitri, and this is not something that Dimitri diverts to her, so only Anastasia would know this information. Of course, along the way, these two ends up falling in love. It's Meg Ryan. It's like she's always been seen like the typecast of rom-coms. Like if Matthew McConaughey was typecast to be in a lot of rom-coms for quite a bit of time in the 2000s, Meg Ryan was like that too, in terms of the female version of it. They're like the individuals in terms of rom-coms. They got to be the ones cast half the time. But Meg Ryan still makes a great performance with Anastasia. She's really good. And of course, the singing and animation is amazing. The way it's shot is almost seems like a stage play kind of format. And I miss 2D animation. Honestly, I love watching 2D animation. It's just kind of like a breath of fresh air with all the current like 3D and 3D graphic animation and CGI, which of course they use a bit of CGI in here. Obviously, Don Bluth is known to use it a little bit, but he doesn't use it as like a crutch like most animated films nowadays do. Which, now I'm thinking about it, I hope they don't utilize the same Spider-Verse animation style as a crutch in a lot of these movies, because that will eventually get dull and not like a unique thing that should only be used from time to time, very sparingly, very rarely, because it's so unique. I don't want to get sick of that animation. So after being refused to meet up with Anastasia at the ball, word gets out in the conversation that uh, Dimitri was playing Anya this whole entire time, trying to utilize her to gain money from the royal family. And of course, this sparks the whole third act breakup kind of thing, which luckily doesn't last long. Dimitri uh, uh, organizes a situation where Maria has to be forced to meet Anya at her home, and she reminisces about a music box that only Anastasia would know, and sings the song with Maria. So these two are united again. Uh, and Dimitri decides, like, oh, okay, I'm gonna let her live with this family. I'm not going to interfere anymore. She's happy. I'm not even going to take the money. But then, during the supposed reveal of Anastasia's return, Rasputin, even against Backtrack's advice, because he doesn't want to be a part of this anymore, decides to trap Anastasia in this giant hedge maze garden where he's trying to end her life once and for all. But then, out of the random blue, here comes Dimitri, and this part also I didn't care for. This big climactic fight seems choppy to me. Like the way he comes in and try to punch Rasputin, and it seems clunky in a way. And I know, like, Don Bluth has done good fights in his animated films before, so I'm not sure if this was like during, like, low on funds, or like low on time or something, because this seems, at this part, not that it's badly written or animated, it just seems quick and choppy in certain parts. I mean, it gets the job done, end result, so it's fine, but there's certain things about it that I just feel like, okay, seems like, not polished, at least for me. Rasputin makes this stone statue of his winged horse come alive, and Dimitri's fighting that off. And of course, Anastasia gets a hold of the vial and crushes it, finally ending the life of Rasputin once and for all. Anastasia and Dimitri ends up eloping and living happily ever after, as opposed to the real life situation, which is a lot more sad. But this movie wraps up with Batroc beating some random pink bat all of a sudden, which has no bearings on this entire thing. And there is a sequel to Anastasia, with Batroc being the main lead, with this little female bat character. I know for certain is nowhere to be found in that sequel, and that sequel wasn't known to be very good anyways. Not really that freaking important, but they had to end it on some kind of quirky note, I guess. But the Anastasia and Dimitri was fine. They could have just ended there. But that was Anastasia. By and large, I enjoyed it. It's like a good B plus of it's not a B movie, but I'm just saying, in terms of a grade, I would give it like a good B plus. But definitely, Anastasia earns the right to be put on the Disney princess list. Matter of fact, because I ranked all the Disney princesses, I went through all of them, which is up on the channel. You can check out how I ranked them, and I'm pretty sure I ranked Anastasia definitely above average. She's like, very good, and obviously beautiful. I love the whole like the way the eyes look. It just seems like she's just like a normal woman. She doesn't need to be like super perfect model. It's kind of like as I mentioned last week with Jane from Tarzan. It's just like a normal woman that's still beautiful, but it doesn't need to be like perfect. Uh, but anyway, this is a great movie that I still highly recommend you guys check out and revisit if you haven't seen it in a while. But leave a comment below. Let me know what you guys think of Anastasia and the music in this as well. Because I think by and large the music is good, but I think it's also overused. I do not care for too much music in these films. If you're gonna have music involved, it should be like maybe 3 or 4. One of them belonging to the villain, and one to like the main lead, or at least 2 to the main lead, and one to like or 1 or 2 of them belong to like a supporting character, max. But it's like like I hate when like using music, overdoing it with the musical numbers. It kind of gets grating for me. But anyway, I'll see you guys in a minute, because I got one more animated film that came out in 1988 that I remember like tearing through the VCR for this film, because I had it on VHS, and I wore through that freaking tape like crazy. Oliver and Company. So if you remember that film, talk about musical numbers. Oh my god, that song, Sweet Savoir Faire. I don't think that's like the actual title to that song, but you'll know if you look it up. But I'll be talking about that in a minute. But I will see you guys soon. Take care.